Doing fine. First, let me thank Larry for all the services he provides.
Well, thank you, James.
You're welcome. I've got an old car that I'm thinking of replacing. The next car that I get, I'll probably keep for 10 years. I'll only drive 3,000 to 5,000 miles a year. And I really am confused about the EVs versus the hybrids versus sticking with the ICE cars. There's a lot of changes going on with the EVs, and I don't know what one now compared to what they'll be like in 2 or 3 years would be, especially concerning the batteries. And then for the ICE cars, I'm not sure what the availability of parts will be after 2030 when they get away from having anything other than EVs and hybrids. So your expert opinion, if you were in my position, what would you be looking at?
James, listen, there's going to be internal combustion engines and gas stations way past 2030. I know that there's a lot of hype and a lot of stuff trying to sway people into the electrics, but that's don't believe that for a minute. There'll still be Wawa stations, let's put it that way, and there'll still be plenties of new internal combustion cars on the road. And let me tell you what, after a few folks with electric vehicles get their batteries, in a situation where they have to be replaced, and they're going to have $25,000 bills to replace a battery. Me personally, I will never let anybody ever dictate to me like that. You either buy a $25,000 battery from me or you're walking. That'll never happen to me. I mean, it's going to happen to a lot of people, don't get me wrong. But who's going to wind up wanting to spend that kind of money on an 8 or 10-year-old car? I just don't see it, and I think a lot of folks are, got some amazing false hopes. You can buy a lot of gas for $25,000. So I think a lot of environmentally wise for what it actually does as far as the environment to build the electric battery to start with is no more friendlier than us using gasoline. And then number two, what are you going to do with this lithium ion once it's wore out? The other thing too is look up electric car battery fires, and who in the world would want anything like that within 20 miles of their house when they go up? There's things there that I would never be comfortable with. The one thing is, you look at a Toyota Prius or something like that, the plug-in hybrids, well, you can get 40, 50 miles out of those things without ever having to do anything to them or even use gas, but you always got the gas as a backup if you needed it. You're not going to be at a service plaza fighting over who can plug their darn electric car in. I just don't see that, A hybrid, if that's what you're wanting, if you're wanting hyper fuel economy, I think a hybrid's probably the smartest thing to do. But if you don't do a lot of driving, I don't see any problem with going with an ICE car, an internal combustion engine. It just, I don't see don't let somebody sway you beyond your common sense. I just, $25,000 for an electric car battery, I just don't think I'm going to let anybody ever dictate to me like that. I might be a little old-fashioned and I might not be the most computer savvy, but I'm not going to take a chance on somebody telling me that I have to buy a $25,000 battery to drive to work. I think that's crazy town talk. But you've got a lot to think about there. But like I said, if you're looking for hyper fuel economy, I think your best bet would probably be to look into the hybrids. But when you take a hybrid for an example, like I said, if it's a plug-in hybrid, you get the first 40-some miles or whatever for free. That's one thing to look at. And plus the hybrid batteries, when you go to having to replace those, usually you're looking at 35 $4,000 for a reman battery, which, I mean, that's a lot of money, but that beats the living daylights. That wouldn't pay the tax on a $25,000 Tesla or some of these Audi batteries that are out there now. So, it depends on how long you plan on keeping it. If you're leasing one and you're getting rid of it every 3 years, that might be your best bet if you want a full electric. That way you ain't going to be the guy having to buy a $25,000 battery. Folks, that's going to do it for today. Robert, email me, Larry@magicmechanic.com. Hey, thanks for tuning in. You listeners, customers, show sponsors are the reason we do the show, and I have a job. You can tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time in Central Florida on 107.3 FM, HD Radio 96.52, and AM 580. Worldwide at WDBO.com, and click Listen Live, or just tell your smart speaker to play WDBO Radio every Saturday at 3 o'clock. Hey, if you need help with your vehicle, you can always call Magic Mechanic at 407-629-2661. Visit our website, magicmechanic.com, or you can also email me car questions directly, Larry@magicmechanic.com. Until next week, be safe in and out of your car, and we'll see you back here next Saturday at 3 p.m.